Well, I think I did it. I went back through the list of all the slasher films released in the 90s, and I wanted to compile a list of my top 10. It was not easy, but I think I did it, and let's talk about it right now. Let's do it. Hey, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about some slasher films of the 90s. Oh boy, that was not easy to get through, but I compiled a list of my 10 favorite slasher films. But as we all know, in the 80s was fertile ground for slasher films. I mean, we had a ton of them each year in the 80s. And I've done that list before. If you want to see that, just scroll on down. You'll see that list. I did a top 10 for the 80s, so I thought, let me do one for the 90s. Now, this one, 90s were not as easy. We had a lot of sequels in the 90s and some one-offs, but it was not until Scream came out in 96, the slasher craze was definitely down. But I'm going to go through some movies that came out each year of the 90s, and at the end, I'm going to give you my top 10 favorite slasher films of the 90s. In 1990, New Line Cinema had purchased the rights to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise, and they released Leatherface Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. We also got the sequel to Child's Play in 1990. Child's Play 2 came out that year, which is a pretty damn good sequel. Psycho 4 came out that year, and Maniac Cop 2. In 91, we got a cool little slasher film called Popcorn, which I highly recommend if you've never seen it. I'll have to do a review about that eventually. We also got Child's Play 3. Child's Play 2 was successful. Universal rushed Child's Play 3 out the next year. Freddy's Dead, which I do not like that movie. I know there's some fans of it out there, but that movie killed the Nightmare franchise until Wes Craven came back to bring it back. You will not see Silence of the Lambs on this list. I don't consider Silence of the Lambs a slasher film. You may consider it a slasher film. I do not. It's more of a psychological horror film. So I didn't add that to the list. In 92, we had Candyman. Dr. Giggles came out that year too, with Larry Drake as the title character. And Hellraiser 3. Now, I was going back and forth on Hellraiser. I don't really think Hellraiser is a slasher film, but you could argue that. So I'm not going to count that on my list. 93, we got Jason Voorhees back. Kind of. And Jason Goes to Hell. And I'll mention John Carpenter's Body Bags only because the one segment does have to do with a slasher, but that's not gonna be on my list because it's not truly a slasher film. In 94, we got the creator of Nightmare on Elm Street came back to give us what I consider the second or third best Nightmare on Elm Street film in Wes Craven's New Nightmare. And we got Don Coscarelli coming back to give us Phantasm 3. Now, you could also not count Phantasm as a slasher either. 95, we got the return of Michael Myers in Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, which I do like that film. I have some fond memories of it. It was the first Halloween film I got to see in the movie theaters, and I have fond memories of that. Candyman, Farewell to the Flesh came out in 95. Texas Chainsaw, The Next Generation, which Matthew McConaughey and Renee Zellweger were in that film, and that movie is awful. I don't recommend it to anybody, but if you're curious about it, check it out. You're going to be bored, and you're going to be flabbergasted about how much that movie actually sucks, because it sucks big time. Children of the Corn 3 came out that year. In 96, we got what rejuvenated the horror industry, and that was Scream. Wes Craven gave us Scream, written by Kevin Williamson. Hellraiser Bloodline, again, Hellraiser's not a slasher, I'm just mentioning it here. Children of the Corn 4, which that was when Dimensions was just plopping them out there with not much artistic value to them. They all kind of suck. In 97, we got our first Scream clone, and I Know What You Did Last Summer. I really liked that film. And we also got the sequel to Scream, Scream 2, that was a rush production. In 98, we got Halloween H2O. That brought Jamie Lee Curtis back to the franchise. Urban Legend, directed by Jamie Blanks. I really liked that film. And they rushed a sequel to I Know What You Did Last Summer. I still know what you did last summer. I can watch that film and have fun with it, but it is not that great. Bride of Chucky came out that year. I am not a fan of that film. And then we got The Abomination. That was the Psycho remake. Pointless remake. Shot for shot. I still understand what they were thinking of even bothering doing that. But I saw it in the theaters too. And I walked out thinking that was totally pointless. Strangeland came out that year with Dee Snider's film. Phantasm 4 came out in 98. 99, we had Candyman 3. And really that's it. But I'm going to name a couple other ones that I don't think so. I don't consider Sleepy Hollow a slasher film, but there you go. That's pretty much the movies. It was a sad decade for slasher films in terms of the amount of films released. I mean, yeah, there was a lot of direct-to-video stuff that I don't really care about. I mean, I've seen some of them, and they're not very good. So my top 10, I'm going to start at 10. I'm going to give it to Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. That is not my favorite Halloween film. I'm not saying that. but I like that film, and as a slasher film, I like it. It's a pretty effective slasher film. Number 9, I'm going to give to Popcorn. If you've never seen Popcorn, just a quick synopsis. It's about these group of college students who are going to throw this film festival at this old theater as a class project. And they kind of rig it like William Castle type rigging, like stuff will come out of the ceiling, fly past the crowd, and all this cool stuff. But amongst their group, there's somebody killing the group off one by one. And it's a cool little slasher film. Check it out if you can find it. I have it on DVD. There is a Blu-ray out there, but I have it on DVD. Number 8, I didn't want to do it, but I use sequels to movies. Scream 2 is my number 8. Number 7, Child's Play 2. Child's Play 2 is a fun slasher film. It does everything it should have done for a sequel to the first one. Everything's bigger and a little more over the top, but in a fun way. It's just a fun slasher film. Number 6, I'm going to go with I Know What You Did Last Summer. I like that film, the original film. And the cast is pretty damn good. I know it's fun to make fun of those movies now because it's like they used all the actors from like TV shows and stuff. But it's a pretty good film, a slasher film, that first one. It has that good chase, that awesome chase scene with Sarah Michelle Gellar through the store. And then when she finally thinks she's got away from him, they pull the surprise and the fisherman caught up to her. Number 5, Halloween H2O, when Jamie Lee Curtis came back. That is a pretty good slasher film. Again, not my favorite Halloween film, but it was definitely an effective slasher film. Number 4, Urban Legend. I really like Urban Legend. Jamie Blanks, I thought, really did a really nice job with that film. Yeah, I really like it. When I first saw it, I really enjoyed it, and I still enjoy it to this day. Number 3, I'll give it to Wes Craven's New Nightmare. One of the masters of horror came back to fix the franchise that went way off the rails by the time Freddy's Dead hit. Yeah, Freddy's Dead, I do not like that film. I've seen it a couple times, try to give it another chance, and that movie sucks. And they made all the wrong choices. And Wes Craven came back and made a very effective sequel to the original film and made Freddy scary again, or at least creepy. And I like that film. Number 2, I'm going to go with Candyman. Tony Todd as Candyman is incredible. I love Candyman. I haven't seen it in a while, but I love Candyman. I don't have to watch it to know I love it. I love that film. And the number 1 film, which is pretty obvious, is Scream. This is the film that came out and rejuvenated not only the slasher film, but horror in general. It just was the adrenaline shot that horror needed in the 90s. Not that there's not damn good horror movies. I've went over this before because I have a list of my top favorite horror movies of the 90s. I mean, we have some wonderful horror films. Exorcist 3, In the Mouth of Madness, John Carpenter's Vampires. There's other films. But slasher-wise, Scream really brought the slashers back to prominence with that film. And again, Wes Craven came back, directed that film, and it's a wonderful movie. If you've never seen it, check it out. Scream is legit. It's a good slasher film. So yes, that is my top 10 favorite slasher films of the 90s. It wasn't easy to get through, but I did it. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think of my list. What is some of your favorite slasher films of the 90s? Leave a comment down below. Hit the thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. All that great stuff. Share this video. I'd greatly appreciate that. Just to let other people aware of what I'm doing over here, if you like what I'm doing. And you all take care of yourselves, and I'll be back soon with another video. Thanks. Bye.